I'm tryna give me a bag. I'm tryna give me a bag. I'm tryna give me a bag. I'm tryna give me a bag.
What's up? You are now listening to FY Fly the podcast, and I'm your host, Hassan Thomas, along with Remy, and we are here to share tools on how millennials can budget, save, invest, and understand student debt and credit to achieve financial freedom. If you're a high school student, college student, or someone who's interested in gaining more financial insight, this podcast is for you.
I'm tryna give me a bag. I'm tryna give me a bag. I'm tryna give me a bag. I'm tryna.
What's up, my FY Fly folks out there? How y'all doing? I hope y'all doing all right. Welcome to the FY Fly podcast. My name is Hassan Thomas, aka the kid that did and the man that can, baby. And today, we're gonna be chopping it up with community developer, serial entrepreneur, and a non-profit don, man, Sebastian Sanders. How you doing, bro?
Man, I'm doing great, man. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Yes, sir, bro. Had to have you on there, man. We from the same place, Houston, Texas, and we're both young, man, doing our thing, striving to make a difference, striving to make impact on here, bro. And that's really the biggest thing that came to my mind when I saw your page, bro, is impact. So what really inspired you to create the business that you've created it to help people in the way that you do?
Man, I think it's been installment since I was a kid. And so I would say roughly right around 12, 13 years old, as I started to mature a little bit, my dad, he was always big on the giving. So he always did like big parties, big events. He just took care of the whole family. So I've always wanted that same respect, that same honor as a kid. I always wanted to be like your father. But as I got a little older, man, you start to go into middle school and high school, and you start to realize things, being an African-American male, everybody in our community doesn't have that blessing to go home and have a mother and a father. Sometimes they have a big brother, big sister that lead their own families. And so a lot of that stuff started to hit home. When you go to middle school, I could go home and play video games all day, but my homie down the street, he probably couldn't do that, right? And I'll never forget when I played football in middle school, man, and I hated football. I only played because they said you had to play in order to play basketball. So that's the only reason I could play the football field. But I started running back. He kind of stayed in our neighborhood. And so, all the kids get together, just walk to practice, 20-minute walk or whatnot. Doing stuff as a young person. And we knocked on his door. We was like, hey, man, it's time to go to practice. He's like, man, I got to watch my little sister. And mind you, this dude is probably the best person on the team. This is a guy that potentially can go and get an offer and go to the NFL in a few years. And so, man, that kind of hit me because I'm like, man, a lot of us coming out of these our communities, we may not necessarily have the blessings and the resources. And sometimes it pulls us back. And, you got to think about those kids that have the talent as the next kid, but they may not have that same opportunity. And so that moment always stuck with me. So that kind of taught me the art of giving. And then I went on to college, started doing entrepreneurial things, man. And I've been, I kind of been like a class clown my whole life. So it wasn't nothing for me to get in front of people and start speaking. And then, as I started to mature and really get into who I was as a person, everything started to fall in place. But I think God was guiding me there my whole life. Like everything that I did, as I reflect back on, man, it's just a testimony or a manifestation of what I am today.
Bro, I love that, bro. And something stuck to me, while you were telling me the story about your father. It's just how important, a parent or somebody, a authority figure or some type of mentor. So can you really touch and elaborate on, if you don't have, because like we talked about, everybody doesn't have that parent or that father figure. So if you don't have that, talk about how reaching out to some type of mentor, some type of authority that you want to be like or inspire to be like or aspire to be like, it can be so important or crucial for you.
Yeah, man. And I think, being African-American male, sometimes we shelter everything in, right? We go through a lot, mentally, and a lot of that stuff stays inside of us, but that it has to come out. That hurt and that pain has to come out. And sometimes when you don't have a mentor, you may not know who to go to. And when you don't have a mentor, you may not have a father figure at home. It's hard for you to trust other people. So you often ended up trusting the wrong people because you just don't know where to build that trust from. And so I think it's extremely important, whatever you want to go through in life, go and find somebody, that's doing something of that sort and just try to be a fly on the wall, and sometimes the best mentor relationships, they come organically. I think in the day of age where everybody's on social media, we try to go and force relationships and like, I just want to be in with these type of people. The best people for you in your life are going to just fly. They're going to come into your life somehow, some way. And my biggest thing is coming from where we come from. You got to be able to reach back and pull up. You can have all the money, you can have all the fame, but it doesn't mean anything if you're not changing people's life for the better. And so that's why I spend so much of my time being on the front lines, with our people, man. Our kids need us, man, and they need mentors more than anything right now because social media has taken control of what a true man looks like or what a true leader looks like.
Facts.
First thing these kids go to is what Lil Baby's doing, what Lil Durk is doing. I love that music, but that's not my role model. That's not somebody I'm actually going to look up to. But you got a whole generation and a whole wave of kids who's coming up, and that's all that they see, and that's all that they want to be. And so I try to go and be who I am and show them, man, you're not going to be a rapper. Because I tried to be a rapper. Like, I love music, and I tried it, but I wasn't good at it, right? So that doesn't mean, you need to go and do the same thing because that's what that person is doing. Go and find what you're good at in life, and trust me, everything is going to fall into place. The right people will pop into your life.
So how do people find that passion? We found our passions, I would say, pretty naturally. I've always been business oriented, and, coming right after my football injury, it just felt natural for me to try to help young folks manage their money, get their money right, and make better decisions. Because I've been doing that my whole life with my people, with my cousins, people around me. So, like, for the people who haven't just found that natural thing that they click, how can they go find that pursuit, or how can they go find that passion? How can they go find that play that's really going to take them into that next level?
Wow, man, great question. Biggest thing is trials and tribulations, right? You got to go through a lot of stuff to figure out who you are as a person. You got to figure out what you're good at. And so for me, just to put it into perspective, I always tell people my story of being a rapper. So growing up, man, I love Pac. That's all my dad played was like Pac coming up early.
Come on, man.
Afro. So I love all that. So I grew up with it. And so growing up as a kid, like, being an African American male, man, rapper and athlete, those are top two things that our society defines as success. So essentially, at some point in your life, you're probably going to fall into that. You want to go be a ball player or you want to go be a rapper. So I was in, I think I was in college at the time. I'm like a sophomore. And my mom was like, what do you want for Christmas? So I'm like, man, I was like, man, I want some studio stuff, right? So I got me some studio equipment. So I got the studio equipment, man. And I'm making these songs, and the music I thought it was good. Like, I tell my homies to this day, like, the song was decent. For it to be my first song, I thought the song was decent.
Yeah.
I played it for them, and they was like, man, this is garbage. They was like, nah, bro, this ain't it. Like, I ain't gonna let you release this. So I'm like, all right, let's go back to the drawing board. But then I realized, like, okay, I can't necessarily be a rapper. And I kid you not, man, at least 2 weeks later, I had the idea of a nonprofit organization, and then I went to my career counselor at the time. Me and her had a conversation. I hit the ground running, and Santa's Hand was first started right in there. So I look at it like this: like, I failed at something, but something else was worth it. I realized I had a voice, right? I realized I can actually write stuff. I realized when I was writing those songs, I can actually write a book. When I could get on and actually talk like I'm rapping, but I can actually go and speak to people and do podcast interviews and things like that. So,
let me tell you how it happened for me, bro. Literally, football senior year, tore my meniscus.
Wow.
Next week, I'm writing my senior thesis, research paper over financial literacy. I'm telling everybody, like, man, I'm finna write this thesis, and I'm gonna kill 2 birds with 1 stone and turn it into a book.
Yeah.
Bro, my cousin called me. He was like, that's a great idea, bro. That's fire. But why don't you turn that into an app? I was like, an app? Literally from September, because I got hurt in September. So literally from September all the way to December of 2019, I did nothing but research on how to create an app, how to create a financial app, built me a prototype, came back my senior year of college. Now this is 2020, came back. Now I'm pitching. I'm on crutches because I just had my meniscus surgery. And I'm in Tennessee and I'm crutching to all these different meeting with these different professors to get a meeting with the dean. So saying that to say, you was rapping, had the rap dreams. It didn't work out for you. And then something else popped up for you. I had football dreams, NFL dreams, tore my meniscus. And then something came from, but like, I want to see how we can give them like some type of, I know we have, okay, boom, something happened to us, but how can we have them find that niche? And then once they find it, should you just lock in straight with it, or should you build it up and then expand, or like, what's your thoughts on that, bro?
Yeah, that's a powerful statement. I think for me, man, I think the best thing is, to build it up, because at first it's new. You scared of it. Like, you don't really know what it is. Like, I was like, man, I don't really know what a nonprofit organization is. And then when you're younger, when you hear nonprofit, like, man, that ain't no money in there, right? So I'm not thinking about it. But what I did was I spent 6 months right after that. I created the organization, but I never really fully launched it. Like, I made a Twitter post.
Okay.
But I did like minor stuff. What I did was I spent time volunteering and going out into the community and working for other organizations and really see what the game is like. And then I would say that was in April of 2017. Around September is when I said, okay, I got the confidence. I reached out to a bunch of schools And 3-4 schools start hitting me up, say, "Hey, okay, you can come here, you can come here," and that's what happened to us. So I always say, like, spend time like with that craft. You gotta be able to nurture it, and build it up.
The 10,000 hours,
You gotta put the time in before you hit the ground, and everything is not going to happen overnight. And so, I think once you figure that out, spend time studying it and become a student of the game. And then when you do that, man, you unlock so much stuff. Like, so many deals are going to start flying through. So many opportunities are going to start flying through because you built yourself up for it.
That kind of reminds me of a method that I came up with, bro. How you went out there and educated yourself, and then you applied yourself. So you educated yourself, started getting knowledge, watching the YouTube videos and all that. And then you got out there volunteering, talking to other organizations. So I came up with this method, like, on how to provide value, called the EAR method. So it's educate, apply yourself, and then rejuvenate yourself. Educate yourself, apply yourself, and rejuvenate yourself. So you educated yourself, and then you got out there, got active, applied yourself, rejuvenated yourself so you could provide that value for more, because you really can't give 100% of yourself if you only at 50.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So really, that's a really big lesson that people listening can key in on. He not only just educated himself on the field that he wants to get in, he got active and applied himself. So that's huge, bro. So, man, we are talking to the nonprofit Don, man, global exec. So I started on your page that you were doing some work in Ghana, man. Can you talk to us about that?
Yes, sir, man. So I think this time last year, we started getting some phone calls, emails from, a few people out in Ghana, Africa. And so, they were just asking for sponsorship, asking for donations, asking us just can we support. And so I took a real liking to what they were doing. And I just said, hey, can I just meet? Like, I really want to learn more. Sat down with a few people out there, had a good conversation, and the idea was drafted around. I said, hey, this is what we're doing here in the States. We're teaching our kids business and financial literacy for free. Yeah. What you're doing out there sounds exactly like what we're doing here. The only difference is resources. They just don't have the same resources as we have. And so I said, hey, listen, how about, we bring what we're doing here, we bring it over there to you all, and we can start an organization out there. They were on board. They were happy. And they said, hey, the first thing that we do is we do a spelling bee every year. And they told me about the spelling bee. I was like, man, let's do it. And we changed the name. I think the name at first was the Book Foundation. We changed the name to Sanders Ghana. And then they changed the spelling bee. They put it in our name. And so for me, that meant
that's huge.
Sanders is my last name. And so having my last name as a spelling bee in another country, man, that's huge. I couldn't fathom that. So we did the spelling bee. They had over 1,000 kids from the area. They had a bunch of the parents. Man, it was a big event. Like, they had like a culture dance show. It was bigger than some stuff we do here in the States. And I'm like, man, I'm honored to see that. And then we backdoored, and then we started talking more, like, how can we really help, And then I was able to Zoom in my spelling bee winners. So I think I had 3 winners. And so I was able to Zoom in on them, but our director out there, they didn't have, like, the technology. So he went to each of their houses personally and brought them outside and had them Zoom in and talk to me. And I was like, man, these are some bright kids, but, like, they just don't have the same resources. So I said, man, how about we put a computer lab out there where those same kids that come through our spelling bee and come through our programs, they have a place to go to practice learning how to, work on Microsoft, even just to work a laptop, because these are kids that's going to go off to university and things of that nature, but they're going to be put at a disadvantage if they don't know the basics of how to code or things like that. And with everything being so technology driven, it's going to be hard for kids in other countries to keep up with us if they don't have the same technology.
And it's literally not their fault. So I love what you're doing.
And I see that, man. So I'm like, let's do something like that. And so they called me. They said, hey, there's a building here. I said, all right, let me speak to the land people. We end up, getting a really good building for a really good price. And then we opened up the computer lab. And so right now we're still in the works of just making sure we're getting them the technology, getting them laptops and things like that. But man, it's probably be open I would say, the next few weeks, maybe at the end of the summer. But I'm very excited. I'm very honored to see this, man. This is legacy. This is something we're doing in a whole nother country. And
big facts.
First of its many. So I'm very excited to see what we're doing, man. But it'd be the first business computer lab where even parents and students can come in there for free, learn business skills, learn coding skills, use technology. They're gonna have a bunch of books on site, merchandise on site for the kids. It'd be an opportunity for the kids where after school, like, you've been in a classroom all day, and I get to go to the computer lab and build my dream business or build something. So I'm very honored and excited, man. And I personally be traveling out there sometime this year and next year just to visit with the people and see our.
That's turn, bro. That's turn, bro. Congrats.
Thank you, sir.
For real. Yo, are you ready to hit your next level? Do you want to increase your drive, destiny, and dollars? Well, if so, check out my new book, From College to COVID, 24 Lessons Learned During the Lockdown, where I've compiled 5 of the biggest lessons I learned going from college to COVID to starting my financial literacy empire, FYFly, plus 19 lessons from your favorite entrepreneurs, entertainers, and athletes that have been featured on our show. There's literally something for everyone. So purchase your copy today at fyfly.com/from college to COVID. Let's go. So like, did the nonprofit business decision, did that factor into your decision? Like, would you have been able to do the same things that you're doing now with a for-profit business? Like, can you compare the two?
Yeah, man, it's a great question. So I look at it like the nonprofit versus the LLC. And so the thing about the nonprofit is, whatever you're trying to do for community or people, I always tell people, start a nonprofit, because essentially you're trying to start an LLC. If you're trying to do a business, let's say, for example, a young lady wants to start a hair care business for young girls to get free hair care products. It wouldn't make sense to go the LLC route, because if 9 times out of 10, when we're building small businesses and minorities, we're always faced with the disadvantage of funding. We don't have the funding up front. So I always tell people, versus starting an LLC, go and start a nonprofit where you can go and apply for grants. Grants is free. If you're a 501c3 tax-proof nonprofit organization, you're getting those grants essentially for free. So you're getting that money for free. Versus starting an LLC, you have to spend a lot of money to make some money in the first steps of starting an LLC. And so my biggest thing when I first started, I was like, well, if I want to give back to the people and I want to be a people-oriented organization, it'll make more sense to go the nonprofit route. And plus, I was in college at the time, so a lot of that verbiage of LLC and nonprofit, I knew it, but I didn't know it as much. And so, I spent some time just researching. I went straight to Google, like, what is a nonprofit? What is an LLC?
Facts.
And so I was
just talking about that.
So it took me some time to get the legal things together. You have to build a team. You got to get your 501c3. You have to get your certificate of certification. A lot of different things that you have to go through. But it's a very, very extensive process. But it's definitely worth it, because once you become 501c3 tax proof, man, you're able to hit the ground running and go and apply for any and every grant that's out there. So on
average, how long would you say it takes to get through the whole process?
On average, you're looking at about a 6 to 8 month turnaround. And it can be shorter, but I look at it like this. When you're starting an organization, take your time, right? The first thing you want to do is I need to establish a name. I need to go and establish a mission statement. Then I need to figure out how I'm going to execute that mission statement. Once I got the basics of, who, what, when, where, how, let's go and get a website. Because when you apply, you want to have that website. You want to go and get you a board. When starting a nonprofit organization, I'm not big into having a board in today's world, because you necessarily don't need a board or of directors to be successful. Now, that's really good if you're a big organization, but if you're a small organization starting off, you have to think about, should I have a board, or should I just go out and hire project managers to come in and work with me? It's going to be easier for you to bring in project managers and people that you can hire versus bringing in a board. A lot of times, if you're not careful, your board can essentially kick you off as the CEO, right? Because I
heard a lot of them nonprofit stories, man.
Exactly, and I've heard some scary stories. So I'm like, man, I'm 27 years old. I'm passionate about what I do. Let me take my time and let me hold out on the board. So I did have an initial board when I first started. We were all college students, and everybody was graduating in the next year or two. So everybody graduated and moved into their careers. So everybody wasn't able to, have the same time as we had it at first.
For sure.
And so everybody went their separate ways. So, I was like, okay, we don't necessarily need a board. But what I did was I brought in people who love kids. I started hiring people who actually love kids. And that was my first mistake when I started my nonprofit. I brought in everybody around me that liked Sebastian, but they necessarily didn't have the same passion for the kids. So it was able to grow faster. When you brought in people that love kids, they might not necessarily like Sebastian as a person, but they love the kids like I love the kids. So they was able to come in and bring some ideas, and we were able to take things and take off. And so the whole nonprofit, it's an evolving process, because what you're doing in 2022, you can't do in the next 3 years. So you have to stay ahead of the curve. You have to stay innovative. So once you kind of get everything lined up, you spend a few months actually getting some field experience, then you want to apply for that 501c3. And then once you apply for it, I want to say they take anywhere from 3 to 4 months to respond. Once they respond, they send you back the IRS letter. Then you start going out and start attacking the funding.
Okay. That makes sense. And I want you to double down on something you said. You were talking about whenever you're building a business, don't rush. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, build that foundation and I want you to talk, especially for the young folks listening. Like, we feel that, and we talked about it a little earlier with the little babies and the little Dirks, we see them popping out. So we feel that we can just start something and it'll, just shoot right to the moon. So kind of elaborate on the importance of putting in that groundwork first and then starting to rev up instead of, just trying to hit the ground running. Because I really think the biggest thing is more about longevity than it is you popping and looking like you popping for the first 2 years in your business.
Man, I love getting this question, man. It's about sustainability. The biggest thing with starting a business is everybody wants to hit it overnight. Like a person may drop a product and they want to hit that $1 million sales because they seen somebody do that on Instagram or social media things. Like that looks good. That's cool, but at the same time, I'm always in it for the long haul. Think about it. When I was 20 years old, like if God would have gave me $10 million in grants, he would have gave me access to everybody in the world. I don't think I would have been as successful because I wouldn't know what to do with it. Your success is going to come when it's your time. You don't want to get success at an early age and then you phase off and then it's like, I don't really know what happened to that person, right? I want my success to hit when it's supposed to hit. And to put it into perspective, thinking about young people, Lil Durk, right? Lil Durk, people don't understand. Lil Durk been rapping since 2012, 2011.
Facts.
He took off before him. And then he went through a phase and then he faded out and he was signed to a label and then that faded out and then he transitioned and he went back independent. So he went through so many different phases. Then he finally found the sound. You got to go through a lot in your business to finally find what works for you. Everybody thought we hit the ground like, oh man, Sanders big nonprofit. We were still a big nonprofit. We was a small nonprofit, I like to say. I don't think we were big at the time, but we was just continuously involved and we stayed consistent. So when I was 20 and 21, when I first started, I was doing some really good things, doing some big things, but I wasn't doing the things that I'm necessarily doing today that I was years ago. So if I look back on my life and my track record, every year that I started to do, I was taking a step further. I don't necessarily think I've truly hit my prime yet, but if you look at the last 5 years, when I was 21, I was stationary in San Antonio, Texas. I was in school at UTSA. I was doing some big things in San Antonio, but I was a local person, right? When I transitioned and moved to Oklahoma City in my first big career move, I started to get global. So now I'm not in just Texas anymore. I'm in Oklahoma. Then I started to branch out and I went to Africa. So every year that I'm looking back at my business, I'm building and I'm moving forward.
That progression.
Time putting stuff together because I always tell people, think of it like this. If you got a business and you're 1 year in and you want to go into an investor meeting, the biggest thing that they're going to ask you is your track record and analytics, and they want to see where you have improved. And they want to see where the numbers are going. It's hard to say I've done this in 1 year when there's not a lot of traction. And so if you want to get people behind you and you want to get people to buy into something, they have to see you staying consistent. And I look at the Lil Durk story, man, that's motivation, that's inspiration. A dude that's been rapping for 10 plus years and just now getting to the height of success that he is, that just shows you the time is going to come. Nobody can take that from you. So as a young person, whatever you're trying to do in life, whatever you're trying to build, man, it's okay. Everything is not going to happen at the snap of a finger. But everything that you go through that makes you a champion, all those losses that you're going to take, all those times that you sit in your room and you crying, you like, man, I don't even know how I'm going to do this. Man, that's going to make you a champion. And it's going to make you appreciate your success more. Because if you're a person that hit with everything super fast, think about all those child actors that were super big when we were kids. They faded off after a point. And there's nothing wrong with getting that success as a child. But at the same time, they probably were so young, their parents probably didn't know what to do with them. And they faded off. Some of them stayed successful and some of them didn't. Now imagine if a person's 20, 30 years old, you hit them with that success, they're able to grow. Look at Michael B. Jordan. He started off on The Wire. He was, I forgot his name on The Wire.
Great point.
Man, I forgot. He got killed. I think I forgot his name, but he was on The Wire. And he was on there for like a few episodes in season 1. Look at him now. He's in these major movies. You got to start somewhere, right? And that was 20-something.
Talking about boy had them braids, didn't it?
Yeah. He had the braids.
Facts.
Yeah. Facts. Killed by Bodie. I forgot his name on there, man.
Yeah, I definitely remember that. Bro. But that was huge because whenever you try, like, that's the big thing. I just want people out here to try. Like, we get so consumed with, oh man, let me plan, let me do this, or people, get caught up in themselves and don't think they're capable of doing what they're capable of doing. Like, if it's called for you, you got to go out there and do it. And then even if you do it and fail, that's going to give you another way or another method to try. And now, like say you right here and you go out there and try and fall. What they say, shoot for the moon and land, or shoot for the stars and land on the moon. Exactly, bro. Exactly, man. So let's really stick on this entrepreneurship wave, because I think I saw a couple weeks back that you had one of them posts that went viral for trademarking the Money Mondays.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, bro. I seen that post. That joint went viral, bro. So I want you to really talk to our audience about the importance of ownership and protecting intellectual property.
Man, great question. It's important as young people, as entrepreneurs, like, you don't want to give off too much of your brand. And I see that a lot of time, like, people start something, they want to write a book, and they want a book deal. I look at Nipsey. Nipsey stayed independent for the majority of his career, right up until he died. And then he eventually went to sign a record deal. It was more of a partnership. You have more leverage when you own a lot of what you put out.
Leverage.
So when I first did my first book, I told myself, I said, listen, man, I'm still relatively, young into the game, right? I still got a long way ahead of me. I don't want to go and search for a book deal because essentially they're probably going to take anywhere 20 to 30% and give you a advance. Advance may be cool because you necessarily may need the money at the time, but at the same time, you can make that whole advance back if you really just invest into yourself. And so if you think about it like this, like you want to start something and you start a brand or something like that, you give out 20% to an investor. It sounds good, cool. But what if that brand took off and now you're making multi-millions and they eating off that 20%? You can own 100% of your brand, but you gave out a chunk of it too early. So it's important as young people that you take your time when you're building your business and you really want to get everything 100% right. You want to own everything because at the end of the day, when it's time for you to go into those big production meetings and those big meetings, let's think of it like this. You started a company, right? Let's put Money Mondays. I started Money Mondays, right? I trademarked the brand. I put the brand into the LLC. The brand is taking off. It's been doing all these big engagements. We got merchandise. Let's say Rockstar energy drink. They want to team up with you. They want to create their own drink. I go into a meeting with Rockstar and they're saying, hey, we want to offer you this. We want to offer you equity. You look at it like this. I own the trademark. I own the LLC. I built this up. I got 100,000 people that's willing to buy anything that I put out. I don't necessarily want equity. I want ownership. I want part ownership. So now you're going into a partnership with Rockstar versus them just giving you 15%.
Come on, bro.
I went from 15 to 50 because I own it. Then essentially they may look at you and say, man, you know what? Hey, we may even give you 60. Same thing for Steph Curry. Steph Curry owns a part of Under Armour. What a lot of people don't know. He didn't go and get a regular Nike deal like Jordan or maybe LeBron or Kyrie did. He owns damn near half the brand. So I look at it like this: the more ownership and the more fight that you have, it's easier for those people to say, "Okay, we're willing to give you this." Because if you go in there with just being excited and saying, "I just want to be here," man, that's great. That's a great opportunity. But just thinking
they're gonna pluck you, boy.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're missing out on so much money. And so I told myself in my first book, like, hey, we're not going to go into, let's not search for that deal. The deal will come later on, but let's build this audience. Let's build my audience and build my brand. Look what Nipsey was able to build a brand so big that when he came to do that deal, I forgot which label deal he did. It was a partnership. And he said the only thing they did for him was distribution. He said, I got the market and I've been selling albums and selling CDs by myself. All I need y'all to do is distribute. And they helped him with the distribution. He was able to touch into audiences that he didn't touch before. And so, man, you have to own your brand, man. Don't get into it thinking, I need to give out 15% or I'm gonna wait to apply my LLC. I'm gonna wait to trademark something. If you got a slogan, trademark it today. If you got a business that you can put into the LLC, do that now. Stop waiting, stop procrastinating, stop sitting around the house because there's somebody else that's gonna take that trademark. And you've been eating 100%. Off the brand, and now you can't even eat off the trademark because you didn't do it. So, man, protect the brand at all costs.
But y'all know how it is. Every time we wait for someone, we have a bright idea, we wait on it, and then 2 months later, 3 months later, we see somebody else with it. How many times that'll happen to somebody? You know what I'm saying? So definitely. And then another thing, key thing to point out what you said, bro, is that leverage, bro. Oh my goodness. Like, I've noticed that, building this business this last 2 years, the more people that we're helping and impacting, the more valuable and the more leverage that we have when we go talk to these different companies. And it's crazy how you said that, now, whenever you were meeting with that company, or I think it was a scenario that you gave, boom, you come to that meeting and now they're trying to look at you as like a kind of as a customer. Well, I can give you a personal example. I went to meet with this company. It was a white labeling company about financial literacy. And when I first tried to meet with them, they were trying to meet with me as a customer. They were trying to sell me like white labeling financial literacy curriculum for our website. And when I met with them, showed them the podcast, showed them everything that we had to offer, now we worked out a partnership because I'm able to provide value to them just as much as they're able to provide value to me. So instead of them charging me and providing or giving them money for value, now it's value for value. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So it's just crazy to think about that, man. And like I said, bro, I only got 30 minutes to soak up all this game from you, bro. So let's transition, bro. I want to talk about the event space, Underground Houston, Texas, bro. Can you give us a little game on that? And what was the process? What was the process like bringing that to life?
Yes, sir, man. It was it's a crazy process, man, because I just moved back to Houston maybe almost a year ago. So like September of 2021. So me and my best friend, Billy, man, so after college, he went to Austin, Texas. I went to Oklahoma City. So we both moved away from home. We talk like every day we're on the phone. We just talking about business. We talking about what we want to do. We moved back. So we both moved back similar around the time. And we've been moving back. And we was like, man, we always wanted to get a building because having a business, you definitely want to have a office space. So you want to have a headquarters location to shoot content, to do meetings, host events. With me having a nonprofit, I was looking for a space to bring my kids and do my programming. And for Billy, you know, he has a wave business where he provides like wave grease and all that for men's. He creates a lot of products.
Okay.
So he's always looking for places to do his content. And so he's like, man, we want to rent out something. Plus, with everything that's going on, I'm a futuristic person. So being in college, you notice everybody booked Airbnb for parties. But you started seeing a lot of those Airbnb owners, those homeowners, they were getting tired of that. They were hitting you with fines. Then you started Airbnb and stepped in and say, well, hey, we're not going to, you know, allow too many parties anymore. So I was like, man, I'm like, nah, I got to go and get an event space. Because in Houston, Texas, this is all we do in the city is party. There's a party on a Monday.
Facts.
Like, everywhere you look, there's a party. So I'm
Facts.
Like, when you start a business, always find a need. So now I needed a need to hold my place. But then I also thought about the business perspective. Houston needs a need for those parties. So I'm like, okay, cool. Came across this ad, and I called the lady. I was like, hey, you know, we were interested in the building. She said, okay, I just released it. She said, I just released it like last week. But I don't think it's going. I don't think I'm going to have it by the end of the week. It's a Monday. And so I'm like, oh man. So I told Billy. I called Billy. I said, hey man, I got an opportunity. I said, can you meet us here at 2:00? We ran up there, man. I got there at 2:00. I think I got there at 1:30. Actually, I'm in the building waiting on her. She came in. She gave me a tour. Billy came and gave us a tour. We was like, okay, we're going to take it. Took the space. And man, we hit the ground running. So we got the space in like February. And I said, when do you want to open up? I was thinking April. Billy's like, nah, bro, I think we get it done in March. He said, we just got to focus, put our head into the game. I said, all right, cool. Let's do 30 days in. Man, we was grinding every day, man. So the biggest thing with getting an event space, get the legal stuff done, right? So you got to go and get your insurance. You got to go and get, you know, your LLC and all that. So we did all that. So we spent about 2 or 3 weeks getting the legal stuff together. Then we got into designing it. So we looking at it like, okay, what needs to go inside of it? We spent time shopping. So we used to hoop all the time. We had to stop hooping. Like we had to stop going to LA Fitness. We just literally
I'm all right, Lord.
Working, you know what I'm saying, getting stuff done. And so we did everything in about 30 days. And the space, man, it's a multi-purpose center that is allowing, you know, entrepreneurs and people in the community to come and have fun, but also learn. So in addition to what we're doing of providing you with the rental space, I'm also going in and teaching those same kids in my local community, you know, how to be an entrepreneur. So for example, man, just this last week, I just graduated 6 kids. We took them through our Young Billionaires program, and they spent 4 weeks. So they came to spend some time at the underground, 1 week for the summertime, and they, you know, got to become an entrepreneur. You know, they learn financial literacy. And so, and what makes it so special of being a event space, not only do we offer it to the community at an affordable rate, I grew up in that same area. So right in front of me is the same middle school I went to. Then around the block is the same middle school I went to. So it's a full circle moment for me and Billy, because this is where we grew up at. And so, man, having this space, open it up for the community, it's been amazing, man. And it's been great to just host so many different parties, man. I get birthday parties, you get baby showers, I had a 90s party like a couple weeks ago. It's so many random things that you get, man. We had a wedding reception one day. Man, I just love seeing our people happy, and I just love giving it to them at an affordable rate. And the space allows for it. I'm not giving you a house, but then at the same time, I don't want you to throw a party, right? 'Cause that's what a lot of Airbnb is. So I'm giving you a space. I don't want you to throw a party as long as you take care of everything that's inside. It's been great, man. It's been a great thing to bring our people in. And we just opened up in March. We've probably been booked every weekend since March. I don't think there's been a weekend where it's just been open. And I just got to get.
Oh, man, so you found that need.
Found that niche.
I love it, bro. I love it, bro. Because that's the biggest thing in business and entrepreneurship is making sure that you're solving somebody's problem, solving somebody's need, and providing a service or providing some type of value. So, man, let's go ahead and pivot to the FY Fly portion of this, man, because this is a financial literacy show, which is not only understanding how to budget your money, but also understanding how to manage and grow your money effectively and efficiently. So let us know a positive money habit that you do, and then also a negative one that we could cut off, man.
Yeah, great question. A positive thing that I did was, so I have 2 debit cards, right? So with these debit cards, one is like, you know, used for like bills and things like that. The other one is like miscellaneous. So what I do is like every week I sell the other account, maybe like $50 to $100 that you want to spend maybe on, I'm not gonna say gas nowadays, but you're gonna need more than that, especially for me.
No, fact.
Food or miscellaneous stuff, right? And so for me, it separates it. And so I don't necessarily have to use this one so much. This one just be strictly for bills. This debit card is an everyday transaction. So once you separate it, you're not pulling so much money out of where bulk of your money is going to come from. So that was one of the things that I developed when I first moved to Oklahoma City. I developed that, and that's something that I continue to do to this day. And I think that's really good because it separates the money. It's not like you think about all the money that you spend on miscellaneous stuff. I don't necessarily want that mixed in with bills and investment money because at the time it's going to get confusing. It's going to get wrapped up. You're going to start losing track of where all your money's going. So that's one of the things that I've done. I mean, in addition to that, also creating a spreadsheet. I write everything down. So I look at my first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. I look at all my business investments I have to make. And also look at other investments, like if I want to go get a piece of land, if I want to go invest in some real estate, some crypto, things like that. Write that stuff down and write towards that goal. The biggest thing with money is if you can see the money, you got to believe the money. You have to figure out the magic number. A lot of times, people make a really good income, but if they don't have a magic number in their head that they're working towards, or they don't have a specific number of how much money they want to accumulate to a certain investment, they're going to get lost inside of the money that they're making. So the biggest thing is come up with that number. If I want to make $5,000, but I want all that $5,000 invested into some crypto by the end of, October 2022, then I need to figure out what am I going to do, how much money I'm going to be putting up towards that. So those are some of the things that I do when it comes down to money habits. Bad money habits, I would say, is Thursday or Friday through Sunday, I don't want to cook. Right, I'm lazy on the weekends. I ain't cooking, so I'm YOLOing it. Right, that's a bad money habit. Right, and I think as young people we do that a lot. So if I can come up with a strategy on the weekend where I can just stop being lazy and just actually cook, I can continue on with my plan. Because Monday to Thursday I'm good. I'm meal prepping. I'm eating real clean. I'm eating real light. And I come on the weekend. I'm coming in. I'm going everywhere. Right, $20, $30 just on food. So that's one of the bad money habits that I think I have, and I think we all have our own vices, man. So
for sure,
you have just try to figure out an alternative to it. So for me, I was like, okay, I'm gonna just start cooking on Thursdays. When I cook on Thursdays, that'll last me maybe until Saturday. Then on Sunday, just go to my mom's house and get a Sunday dinner, right? So that way, I'm not just eating random stuff, and just spending unnecessary money that I don't necessarily have to. So that's one of my things, man. Is just being able to see the money, believe the money, write things down, and separate it. So I got 2 debit cards. I'm selling myself $50 to $100 per week. May not necessarily spend all that, but at least I have some miscellaneous money for if I want to go to Chick-fil-A, if I want to go here and there, right? Versus having all that money in my primary checking account.
And that's the biggest thing, bro. Because whenever we're talking about budgeting, or we have to budget for I like to call a budget is a life enabler. It's not a life restrictor. You know what I'm saying? That's what I like to say when I think about a budget. So even when you're talking about the eating out, everybody got problems with eating out. So put that into your budget. You know what I'm saying? Don't be aware, or don't act like you're not aware of it. Let's live in reality. We know we're going to eat out. We know we are. So let's look at the last 3 months. Let's see let's average how much we usually eat out per month. And let's just try to decrease it just a little bit. But put that into your budget. Like, okay, say we spend $200 a month on average eating out. Okay, let's go to 175. You know what I'm saying? Let's go to 175. But we know that we're spending that 175 on eating out. We know that we're still accomplishing that. So it's not like we're missing out on anything because we still put that into our budget. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I like to, position it. But, coming from another young brother, bro, why do you feel like financial literacy and self-development is so important to be taken serious now rather than later?
Man, great question. As a young person, you have the most energy and you really have the most time because you may not necessarily be married.
And the least expense right now as well.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like we have the opportunity to teach ourselves a lot, and we have the opportunity to develop ourselves. And I look at it like this, I always tell myself I probably will be retired by 30, doing the corporate things and like that. I always gave myself a time frame. But if I want to get that done, I'm going to have to go all in and do what I got to do now. So I got to teach myself the financial literacy. I got to teach myself how to develop self. It's important to achieve those goals young because I meet a lot of older people and they always say I wish I would have been doing this as a young person. I wish I would have been doing that as a young person. Man, there's a 15-year-old millionaire from Austin, Texas. The little girl that made the lemonade. I think it's called the Bees. I forgot the name, but it's a young black.
She was on Shark Tank?
She was on Shark Tank, yep.
Yeah. I seen that.
She got $750,000. Then she got a deal with Whole Foods. Now she's in HEB. I just bought some.
Going crazy.
I was like, man, that's the little girl's lemonade. Man, I bought me 3 of them, man. I use that story all the time when I go and speak to kids. I use that same story because the little girl was, I think when she was on Shark Tank, she might have been 12 at the time. She was way younger. But this is a 15-year-old millionaire. So I'm like, man, listen, you're never too old to do anything. You're never too young to do anything. But as a young person, when you got all that energy, bro, we can go 24 hours straight. You may crash the next day. But man, it's been days where I didn't went to sleep at 2 a.m., woke back up at 5. I'm at middle school speaking, and I left the middle school at 9 o'clock, and I done jetted down to my college class, and I got to go take my class. Then I got to go back door and go take a group project. Like, I'm all over the place, but I'm young, and I got that energy. And while I'm young, I got to develop self because I want to be able to sit back. I'm 30, 40 years old, and like, man, I'm glad I did everything with no regrets. I don't want to live with any regrets. And so,
100%.
Young person, you got to take those financial risks, right? You got to build up enough money for savings, but you got to invest into something. You're not going to get rich by the money just sitting in the account. I don't care what people say. You gotta have a money put up for a rainy day, but at the same time, you gotta get that money has to move. So I'm saying
gotta circulate, bro.
That investments, right? I'm buying land here and there. I'm buying real estate here and there, right? I'm going and investing into some stocks or something like that. Amazon just split. All my homies that's going to get the sections at the club, we could have took that money and put it into Amazon stock option, and people may look at it like, oh man, you just saying it. Nah, at the same time, bro, if we do everything that we doing now, you go live that life that you truly want in the next 5 to 10 years. And they
exactly
all the time. You got to sacrifice the now for the later. So as a young person, man, sacrifice everything that you have into building that dream life, because your 20s is not necessarily meant to be what you want it to be. I think life gets better in your 30s and your 40s because you're wiser. You have a family, so things are more, stable. You have a purpose now. Hopefully you have a purpose by then. So you need to spend your 20s doing everything that you can to build that life. And so sometimes I may miss out on the fun, man. Like I remember one night, it was somebody's birthday, and they had like a big birthday party here. Everybody's going out. But I had to build a curriculum for the San Diego. I just came out of the nonprofit training. I had to build this curriculum. I sat at the crib for like 2 nights in a row, Friday and Saturday night, man, just chilling. Turns around a couple months later, that curriculum was sold for $5,000 for 6 weeks. So sometimes
pretty worth it
for itself. So if you told me to sit in the crib for 2 nights and miss out on a little fun, but back door and get a $5,000 contract, oh, okay, yeah, I guess it was worth it. So man,
for sure,
you do what you got to do to live that life. Because trust me, man, it's gonna be there. The fun is gonna be there. The people's gonna be there. The girls gonna be there. All that's gonna be there. But if you truly believe in yourself and you truly want to build a certain life, you got to sacrifice the now for the later.
I love that, bro. And to even touch on the investing piece, the way I like to look at it, let's invest for the future. Let's invest for our future selves and protect that person in the future. Because that's like showing yourself some self-love. You know what I'm saying? So while we're chasing fast cash now, while we're chasing our dreams now, let's go ahead and invest a little bit here. Set up automatic payments, 15, 20, 30, 40, set up automatic payments to some real estate, to some ETFs, to some other investments, some investments that's going to appreciate while we're out here working. You know what I'm saying? Let our money work for us while we out here working as well.
Exactly.
So that's why I really want the young folks to focus in on. And then also, I do agree 100% with the sacrifice, but I'm on the wave of balance, bro. I think you gotta find that balance, because say you go crazy, from 20 to 30. I mean, especially with guys, we got such a long lifespan, you know what I'm saying, to still, you know what I'm saying, even like, with our, we can have babies and stuff until we 40, 50 years old, you know what I'm saying? So we have a long time, but just make sure that you do have some type of balance. Like I don't want, cause that Gary V story, he was in that joint in the wine, selling the wine for his parents, all throughout his 20s, going crazy, locking in, and it worked out for him. But I just want people to also have some type of balance as well. I don't want y'all to go crazy, over a business. And I tell my mom that, cause my mom is actually my chief operations officer. And I'm like, we gonna control what we control. We gonna go as hard as we can, but we're not finna go crazy and hurt our mental or hurt our physical over business. You know what I'm saying?
Most definitely, man. That balance is powerful, man. And I had to learn that early, because like I was focusing in on so much, and then once you just like let go, like you said, control what you can control, man, it's gonna happen. So for me, man, I spend a lot of time, like I spend time away going to play basketball. I go and run somewhere, man. I go get a haircut, go run somewhere, travel, man. I spend a lot of time getting away, just to really just soak in the blessings of the business and really just separate. Because that's like you said, man. If you don't, you'll go crazy, man. So as a young person, like I think a lot of times, like you got to find an escape for me, my escape might just be just doing the simple things, man. But everybody has to have an escape, because if not, you'll just drive yourself crazy. I can't give you 100% Sebastian if I'm only operating on 40%. So, man,
Big
separate
facts.
yourself. But sometimes you need to separate the elevator. So whatever it is, man, just get away. I moved to Oklahoma City 2 years ago, and I had to get away from all the fun and all that. And I developed a real good balance. I developed a really good balanced life, and it changed me for the better. The things I built in Oklahoma City has set me up for the next 5 to 10 years. So that's just a form
Exactly.
of, you know, what that was able to do for me. So imagine what can it do for the next person.
I love it, bro. I love it, bro. So thank you so much for joining the FY Fly podcast, man. You dropped so many gems, bro. We finna help a lot of people with this episode, bro. So let everybody know where they can reach you, man. Any final words? Go ahead, boss.
Yes, sir, man. You can check me out on Instagram at Sebastian J Sanders. You can get with me on LinkedIn at Sebastian Sanders. Follow our Instagram, our Facebook, and our Twitter for our nonprofit at SandersHand.org. You can check us out at SandersHand Ghana as well. Tap in with me, message with me, email me. You know, I'm always looking for partnerships, always looking for ways to collaborate and work with others. We have some very big things coming out. We have the documentary. My documentary will be coming out September 3rd. The documentary will be coming out. In addition to that, we'll have a motivational speaking album that's going to go along with that. And then my next book, When Boys Cry, is coming out this fall. So big major things.
Hard, boy. That's hard.
Yes,
That's
sir.
hard, bro. Happy to hear everything that you have going, bro. Definitely looking forward to collaborating in the future.
Yes, sir.
I already know it's a lot of opportunities for us to really turn up together and provide some impact for people, bro.
Yes, sir. Whenever you're back in the city, man, please let me know. I'm already thinking of some ideas. So whenever you're back in Houston, man, let's connect. Let's do some stuff together for sure.
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%. Podcasting, financial literacy, motivational speaking, bro. We both got books. You know what I'm saying? Like it's so many different ways that we can help people, bro. So like I said, I'm super glad that we was able to have you on the show, man. And everybody listening, I hope y'all not only learned, but you're going to take this information and apply this information. That's the biggest key. So everybody listen, I need y'all to stay safe, stay invested, and stay FY Fly. We'll see y'all next week. Let's go. Thank you all for listening to FY Fly, the podcast, and we hope you enjoyed the show. Tune in next week for more financial literacy insights with our special guests. Please visit our website, social media platforms, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at FYI Fly Podcast. That's FYI FLI Podcast. See y'all next week and stay fly.